Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're cutting through some of the noise around streetwear. Specifically, we're diving deep into a brand that's made some pretty big waves in backpacks SprayGround. We've got sources here detailing some, well, truly bold claims about premium quality, craftsmanship, but also a very different story from actual customer experiences online. Our mission, like always, is to figure out what's really behind the hype. Now, SprayGround positions itself quite aggressively, right? Calling itself the #1 backpack in streetwear. They promise unique looks, durable vegan leather, that perfect mix of style and function. Their whole vibe is about being rebellious, encouraging you to escape the ordinary and be the exception. So, on the surface, yeah, it sounds pretty premium, top tier stuff.
And what's immediately striking, when you put those claims right next to the customer feedback in our sources, is this huge contrast, almost jarring, really. While SprayGround builds this image, luxury exclusive designs, the actual feedback suggests a pretty significant gap between that promise and the product reality, often frustrating for people. We're going to unpack those specifics today, show you what that disconnect looks like, and maybe dig into why it matters for you as a consumer.
All right, let's zero in on these claims because they're key to the brand's whole appeal. They push this #1 backpack and streetwear line hard, and they really emphasize the limited edition designs that never get produced again. That creates scarcity, urgency. They talk about unique aesthetics to make you stand out and that perfect blend of style and function to, well, justify the price. It's a really powerful story, isn't it? Makes you think you're getting something exclusive, high quality, maybe even a piece of art. But okay, when we start looking past that shiny marketing layer, what's the first hard data point from our sources that suggests maybe things aren't quite lining up?
Yeah. Contrast hits you pretty quickly when you move from the marketing to the data. For a brand aiming for that premium high fashion spot, our sources show a Trustpilot rating that's, well, frankly concerning. It's 2.9 out of 5 stars. And this isn't just a few upset customers. We're talking hundreds of reviews with incredibly consistent themes. The biggest complaints, they mostly center on two really critical things: serious durability issues with the bags themselves and really poor, often just unresponsive customer service. It doesn't feel like isolated incidents. It points more toward systemic problems, maybe in quality control, maybe customer support, or both.
That low rating immediately makes you question the product itself, doesn't it? Like right at its core. If you're claiming premium, durability is kind of expected. It's baseline. Yet our sources are just full of reports about these bags breaking down. And not after years, but often within months of purchase. We see the same specific issues over and over. Zippers failing, the material tearing or fraying, often just under what people describe as normal use, not heavy abuse. There's one story that really stood out. A professional whose bag just fell apart after only 6 months of light usage. Commuting, basically. And the company apparently refused compensation, even though the defects seemed obvious. I mean, if you've spent good money thinking you're getting quality, that kind of experience is just unacceptable.
Exactly. And this pattern, this months, not years lifespan, it suggests maybe a choice was made somewhere. Perhaps more focus on the limited edition hype, the flashy designs, and maybe less investment in the actual materials, the manufacturing, and the testing. Our sources show these bags cost anywhere from, $60 up to $175. Yet lots of customers say they feel similar to ones half the price. Generic brands even. Now let's compare that. Think about established brands like JanSport or Kipling. They often offer lifetime warranties. SprayGround, just 90 days. So for you, the listener, that's crucial. After 3 months, if it breaks, you're basically on your own, stuck with it. It really shifts all the risk onto you, the buyer, instead of the brand backing its own premium promise.
And the issues, apparently, can start even before you get the bag. Looking at the customer experience, the shipping stories in our sources are, wow, almost documentary-worthy levels of frustration. We see lots of people waiting 17 to 20 days for orders, even though the website promises delivery in 5 to 9 business days. Big difference. And the most extreme example we found, one person waited from January to August for a single order. Nearly 8 months for a backpack. It's just really hard to square that kind of delay with a brand trying to be seen as desirable, exclusive, premium.
That's a really critical point, and it feeds right into the bigger picture of customer dissatisfaction. It compounds things. Because during those long waits, our sources consistently say customer service was unhelpful or completely absent. Not just slow replies, but sometimes just radio silence, leaving people totally in the dark. When you connect the dots, it suggests a real breakdown in their basic operations, logistics, customer care. It points to a company struggling with core things like fulfilling orders and providing timely support. And that, as you can imagine, just erodes trust completely. You might tolerate a bit of a wait for something special, maybe, but not when there's no communication. And especially not when you're already worried about the quality, like we just discussed.
And that limited edition strategy. It's clever marketing, sure, generates buzz, but it also seems to create this unique trap for the customer. Our sources call it artificial scarcity, applied to what's essentially basic backpack functionality. The hook is that once an item sells out, it's gone forever.
Right.
So if that special bag you bought does break, which seems pretty common based on reports, you literally can't replace it with the same design. That unique look you paid for, poof, gone.
And maybe the most telling part, the website itself often showcases more sold-out products than ones you can actually buy. It kind of turns shopping into marketing theater. You're looking at stuff you can't even get.
What's really fascinating there is how that scarcity tactic actually makes the quality control problems even worse for the customer. Our sources detail lots of cases where bags arrive damaged right out of the box. Slits, defects, damage, and even when people provide photographic proof, clear evidence of flaws like torn seams or bad printing. Customer service apparently makes returns and exchanges unnecessarily difficult, sometimes just denies them. So it creates this really frustrating loop, doesn't it? The brand builds up this image of exclusivity, but then delivers products with basic quality issues, and then makes it incredibly hard to fix the problem. For you, the buyer, it's like a double whammy. You pay extra for rarity, get a flawed item, and then have no easy way to sort it out or even get the same design again.
So, putting it all together, our deep dive paints a pretty clear picture, actually. The branding seems to really prey on streetwear culture and social status signaling. It pulls in younger buyers who genuinely think they're buying into luxury, or at least something truly special and durable. But the hard truth, laid bare by all these sources, seems to be they're often paying premium prices for standard construction. Construction that, barely lasts past that very short 90-day warranty window. It's a big investment for what might just be short-term status, a fleeting look, rather than lasting quality.
And don't forget those extra costs beyond the initial price tag. Our sources, especially parents commenting in reviews, highlight things like non-returnable policies and also hidden international fees adding up to $50 extra, just tacked on. These are purchases that, in quite a few cases we saw, can't even be refunded, even if the product is clearly defective. So you're not just potentially stuck with a faulty bag, you're also out extra money you maybe didn't expect to pay. If you step back and look at the market, it's kind of a classic case, isn't it? The perceived value, built up with slick marketing, cool images, limited drops. It completely overshadows the actual value for money, the durability, the longevity. It's an expensive lesson, really, in looking past the hype.
So what's the final word? The distilled takeaway from this deep dive into SprayGround. Well, our sources consistently show a brand charging premium streetwear prices for average quality wrapped almost entirely in hype. That seems to be the crux of it. The clear advice for you, based on everything we've looked at, is honestly, you'll likely get far better value and definitely more peace of mind from established brands. Brands that actually back their quality claims with real long-term warranties, not just, 90 days and hope for the best. If this conversation helps you make a smarter choice, maybe saves you from some overpriced regret cluttering up your closet, then yeah, mission accomplished for us here at the Deep Dive.
Yeah, and this whole SprayGround situation, it really pushes us to ask a bigger question, doesn't it? One that goes beyond just backpacks or streetwear. How do we as consumers, trying to be smart in this noisy market full of trends and hype, how do we actually learn to tell the difference between real value, real quality, reliable service in just clever marketing? Or that feeling of scarcity they create? It really encourages all of us to look past the initial cool factor, the limited edition label, the aesthetic, and think critically about what really makes a product worth the price tag in the long run. Things like proven durability, decent customer support, and whether the company actually stands behind what it sells. Especially when we're all trying to be the exception and express ourselves in meaningful ways through what we choose to buy. Makes you think, right?